peace offensive seeks to mobilize research, art, media, opinion makers, religious leaders, educational and civil society institutions to identify practical measures to reverse the direction and reduce the intensity of confrontation by a global peace offensive focusing on incremental reciprocal steps for conflict resolution, emphasizing cultural, scientific, economic, educational, environmental diplomacy, as well as political, economic, and media systems. I would say that it is not just, we're not coming together just to identify practical, we are coming together to identify and bring into realization measures to reverse the war amongst nations and the war on the environment. So it's not just an academic endeavor, it's an endeavor that will stimulate activism in these various communities. There's a long history of movements originating in civil society that have helped the world and changed the practice of states. The human rights movement, the labor movement, the women's rights movement, the environmental movement, the peace movements of the world, none of them have been initiated by states, without exception. They've all been initiated by individuals taking moral agency and promoting values that advance our common humanity. Today, the nations of the world are reverting away from the multilateral cooperative security dynamic that we so aptly advance in the World Academy of Art and Science, human security, and we're seeing a regression into almost a feudal mentality of states defining their self-interest above the most necessary, practical, reasonable approach to addressing the existential threats of destroying the regenerative processes of nature and brandishing and threatening to use nuclear weapons. There is a pressing need to be a stimulant, a validator, to create a platform and inspire many communities that are filled with people with a cosmopolitan sense of the unity of the human family and the absurdity of using science, technology, and sophisticated social organizations that we have for conflict and the pursuit of power over others. There is no way that we can change the destruction of the oceans, the destruction of the climate, the destruction of the rainforests, the growing inequities of wealth distribution, the absurd, ever-expanding budgets for militarism, without a perspective that puts our common humanity first. This initiative is necessary, it is practical, and it is timely. It is a privilege to be able to be part of it. And I just want to go back and just give a few examples, and I will stay very much within our time frame. But during the Cold War, I was involved in a civil society initiative of a professional organization of Lawyers Alliance for World Security, when we brought lawyers from the then Soviet Union to the United States and took them to see jury trials, and bankruptcy court amazed them, and met judges who were actually holding the state in contempt of court and fining the state. And they were amazed at the idea that a judge could apply the law to the state, and sending lawyers en masse to the then Soviet Union, who saw that there were human beings there, not people to be demonized. Those people were necessary to help us get out of the Cold War peacefully. I want to give an example of where we are, where we're starting. Oxford University has a chair in the history of war. It doesn't have a chair in peace studies. That says it all. There are museums for war all over the world extolling the heroes of war. There are no major peace museums. So we have a task before us. The two major institutions affecting our world today at a global level are the nation state, which was set up in the 17th century to separate Protestants and Catholics, not to bring people together. Our task today is to bring people together. The other dynamic is the market, which is intrinsically competitive. Our task is to weave and build bridges that are realistic and capable of preventing the downward spiral of the war against the environment and the war amongst nations. My impressions, my thoughts and reflections are: one, there is a tremendous need to get the intelligentsia of the world to focus on solutions of the two major pressing problems that we have, the war on the environment and the war amongst states. There are disciplines, methods, skills that can be taught, skills of personal, as David Weinberg pointed out, different levels of skills and examples of how peace education can take place in schools, of how businesses actually create rules of engagement, rules of competition, so that they don't end up with self-help and that they operate with legal adjudication of disputes. There's ways in which countries have found in regions of working together. There's skills that can be taught. And so there's a real need for us to amplify all of the voices that want to use technology, that want to use media, that want to use our political institutions, and help create a culture of peace. It's just that simple. And I just want to finish with a thought of an experience of my own. I had the privilege several years ago of being asked to advise a civic chamber of part of a parliament of a major country, which licenses civil society institutions to do almost anything. In that country, if you want to have a bowling league or a political party, the state has to certify you. So they asked me, how do you ensure in the United States, which has a robust civil society, which is definitely under challenge, as are the independence of our academic institutions and everything, how do you ensure that civil society is a benefit to the security of the state? And I thought about it and I said, I have no idea. I have no idea. I could tell you how we ensure the state is a benefit to civil society. In your equation, the state is the employer and the people are the employee. For a healthy society, the state must be the employee and the people are the employer. And the duty of intellectuals is to give the skills and information for the people to be able to be effective employers of the state.